And to me, that is coming from an open heart, not just like a busy mind. So I'm just going to ask you to take 3 deep breaths. As you do so, I'm going to ask you to tune in to how you're feeling this morning and to really listen to your body for a moment. So you've jumped on this masterclass to engage with a number of other like-minded women who are obviously interested in the same topic about really getting your year off to the start, to an intentional start that you're looking for. And you might wonder, as part of this masterclass, strategizing your year, why I've brought your health into it. So I'll just give you a little bit of context, and then we're going to jump into some introductions. The context is this. Even if you're watching the news, for example, and let's say the progressive positive news, shall we? What you'll see is those role models in the world right now that I say are leading us in the right direction are basically having a look at how wellness affects our economy, how we measure based on how happy and fulfilled people are versus only based on how much money we make and our GDP. In fact, even going as far as suggesting, is there a better way for us to work? A shorter work week. So it's not just us looking at, you know, same old New Year's resolutions, and it's certainly not for me about losing weight. It's about, if we're really determined and dedicated to being strong leaders and fulfilling on what we want to fulfill as part of our leadership legacy for this year, what do we need to do differently? And typically with a lot of women, that's having a look at how we are showing up with our energy, how we're feeling, how we're operating, the type of vibrancy and vitality that's radiating out from us that attracts the relationships and the opportunities that we're ready for. And that really is the level that you're operating at with your energy on all levels. So with all of that, I'm going to ask you, we're going to go through some introductions, and I'm just going to kind of scroll through my screen, so hopefully I don't miss anyone. In the introduction, just to be mindful of time, we want to hear who is on the call and kind of give us some context, but we also want to jump into a couple of exercises. So here's how I hope you will introduce yourself. Your name, the community that you're calling from, in one word, because this is part of the homework, the experience you're most looking for in one word in 2020. And given that experience, and this is where I'm going to ask you to really practice active listening to the other people who are on the call, because we're all going to learn from this. Here's the last part of your introduction. Given the experience that you say you want, what is your one rule, your number one rule for yourself to live by for this year? Because we're going to pick up and hear from other people's rules or what they're trying to put into motion. And again, just trying to be as succinct as possible. What's that number one rule? Is it drinking more water? Is it getting to bed earlier? What is that one thing for you? Because I think it's really interesting to see the answers that come out on the call. So thank you so much for that. I'll kick it off to role model, and then I'm going to ask Shelley, Erin, and Liza to go next. and then I'll scroll over and see who's after that. So my name is Charlene Sinjenko. I am calling in from Gibsons, BC on the beautiful Sunshine Coast. My word is 2 for this year, fulfilling fruition. And the rule I need to live by to fully experience that is conscious relaxation. I know that doesn't make sense, but it does to me. Okay, so Shelly, I'm gonna ask you to introduce yourself, where you're calling from, your one word for your experience for this year, and your number 1 rule to live by, and we're all gonna take notes. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Shelley McClure, and I live in Nanaimo, British Columbia. My one word is courage, and the rule that I'm going to live by is employing courageous confidence.
Nice. Erin.
Hi there.
Good morning.
My name is Erin. I am in Regina, Saskatchewan, where it's freezing cold today. My one word is clarity for 2020, and my rule to kind of support that is carving out time every week specifically to prioritize myself and check in on my goals.
Yeah, strategy time. Awesome. Thank you for calling in this morning. Good morning, Liza. You're muted. There we go. Thank you.
Nice to see you, Char. Nice
You
to see everybody.
too.
So I am Liza Rogers. I am over in Burnaby, BC. A little bit of a gypsy. I was on the island for a while, and I'm now in Burnaby. Couple of words come to mind for me, and it's so timely that we're doing this. My focus this year is on health and wealth. And the focus on health and wealth is how integrated they are in everything that we do. And so it's very timely that we're working on this, because this is my strategy for this year as well. So integration of health and wealth.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll over here. Good morning. I've got Kathy, and then Gina, and then Dana. Good morning, Kathy. Can you unmute yourself?
There's 2 Kathys. Are you talking to me?
I'm sorry, Kathy.
No.
I'm going to go Kathy Hicks first.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, I can't hear you, Kathy. There. Oh, darn it. Let's try one more.
Now, can you hear me?
You bet.
Oh, good. I have my phone. Good morning. I'm Kathy Hicks, and I'm calling from very cold Martinsville, Saskatchewan. And my word, I have 2 also. It was daring adventure. And my focus, I guess, is to quit holding back and be brave and daring.
Be brave and
daring.
Daring, sorry. Thank you. So nice to see you guys. Thank you. Good morning, Gina.
There are 2 Ginas as well.
Wow, just to screw me up this morning. I can only see one bit at a time. Yeah, why don't you go ahead, Gina?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say hello to Shelley, because I happen to know her.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Gina.
Hi. So I'm Gina McIntosh, and I live in France. I'm calling from France right now.
Nice.
So it's almost 5 o'clock here, 5 p.m. And my words are purposeful creation. And I want to concentrate on trusting my intuition.
Nice. Thank you so much for making time, all of you. It's so nice to see the representation from different places. Thank you. Good morning, Dana.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Now, do I have 2? I've got 2 Danas on the phone too. What is a chance?
Oh, right.
Okay. Dana, the one that's speaking, I'm going to go with you first, and I'll back up to Dana Cable in a sec.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome.
My word for the year is growth, and my focus is to get more rest this year.
Ah, and Dana, where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm calling from Kipling, Saskatchewan this morning.
Oh, nice, nice. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate that. And the other Dana, Capel, good morning.
Good morning, Sean. I'm thrilled to be here. Gina, France, and I'm wondering if the Gina is the Gina I've been talking to from France.
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
Finally. Great. To see you.
It's the same one.
I'm in Saint-Jean-de-Luz, France, and my word is lighten up. And the way I need to get that is just to create space that is for play, because I'm a workaholic and I need to book play into my daytimer. And I also want to have meaningful dialogue, but with laughter. Like I really do want to lighten up. I think that was it. Is that it?
Nice. Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds great.
Great.
Well, we're definitely going to hit on a little bit of tangible things at the end. It'll be a repeat for anyone who is here in November, but I think these are things that we need to hear over and over, kind of like pounded into our brains sometimes, but no, all good. Okay, I'm just going to flip one more time here. Sharon Marshall, good morning. And I've got Caroline after that and Tisha.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year.
Thank
I'm so excited to be here. I am calling from Campbell River, Vancouver Island, and that's in BC for those of you who may not know. And my word for the year is manifestation. And my number one rule will be to act on ideas immediately, because action is the magic word.
Yeah. Wow. It's so hard for me not to comment. Okay. Thank you so much. Caroline, good morning. Am I saying it right, Caroline? Is it Carolyn?
Yes, you are. No, it's Caroline. It's a
okay.
spelling, but like
Thank
Neil says,
you.
So I'm calling from beautiful Dundas, Ontario, as we await our storm tomorrow.
Oh boy. Oh.
And, my word for this year, as I'm about to start a new parallel career after 24 years, my word is stretch. And then my rule with the stretch, though, will be balance. I don't want to throw myself completely, well, I want to throw myself completely into the new opportunity, but I want to remember the balance of life.
Awesome. I love that. Stretch and balance. There's some great physical, that you could play on that. Good morning, Tisha.
There, let me mute myself. Hello, I'm Tisha Lee. I'm from Tawasin. My word for the year is liftoff. And the one thing for me is setting intentional boundaries that'll allow me to ramp up for that liftoff, get down the runway with some speed.
I love what you said there. I hope people are writing that down. I hope you're really absorbing what's being said, because we're co-creating today. This is not Shar coming to blah, 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 because I've got all the answers. I do this because I want to learn from you. So yeah, intentional boundaries. I love it. Love it. Love it. Jessie Webb, and then Kelly, and I'm sorry, it's S. Hauser we're going to go to after Kelly. So Jessie, good morning.
Good morning. Jessie, I'm also here in freezing cold Saskatchewan, being a team with us. My words for the year are confident, focused. And my one rule is to be intentional with how I spend my time, both at home and at work.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, Kelly Beatty.
Good morning. I am in freezing cold Kipling, Saskatchewan. Dana in Kipling, I have sent you a private message if you want to check that out while you're on. My word this year is strength. And my rule is my commitment to myself and to my time to building that.
Nice. Thank you. And S. Hauser, sorry, I just, please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. I may get you to just repeat yourself. It's a little bit, it's not coming in super clear.
Sharon?
It's Sharon. Oh, great.
Perfect. And my word here is and
sorry, Sharon, the connection isn't great. I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, to try using your chat box, which is just on the bottom footer. Don't know how familiar you are with Zoom, but if you use your chat box, then we should be able to pick it up. And if I don't see it on my phone, I'm going to ask one of you to just help shout it out for me. Oh, I can see it. Great. Thank you. Okay, go for it. Your word for today, you're going to have to, your word for the year, you're going to have to type it in. Authentic. Awesome. And what is that going to look like? A growth mindset. Nice. Thank you very much. We're going to try a little later to see if that connection's a bit better. Awesome. Okay. I think this is my last. I'm going to ask Heather, and oh, I'm going to have to use mine. I think that's fine, Heather. Give it a try. And then after that, Trina and Dana. Oh, the other Dana, which I think we've heard from, but I'll double check. Good morning, Heather. Do you want to try to connect? You just have to unmute yourself, or if you're calling in from the phone, maybe you're fine. Nope.
Heather's using her chat.
Oh, is she? Darn.
I've got it here. It says from Heather, I'm going to have to use my chat. Heather from Calgary, word for experience for this year, mindfulness. One rule that I'm going to live by, closing the loop.
Just repeat, if you could just repeat the one word or the rule to live by.
Yeah, one rule that I'm going to live by, closing the loop.
Ah, cool. That's a good one. Oh my God, that's such a good one. I think we all should circle closing the loop. Okay. Trina, do you want to go ahead? Just have to, there you go.
Good morning, everybody. I'm calling in also from cold Saskatchewan in Regina, and it's minus 38 with the wind, just to help those who aren't here appreciate why we're all but that's okay. So my word is strength, and it's actually somebody, I apologize, it was someone in Kipling I think had very similar to me.
Kelly. Mm-hmm.
Kelly. Thanks, Kelly. And my rule is accountable to myself and sticking with it.
I think sticking with it is what I will be circling. Yeah. And I've got, thank you so much, Trina. Dana, another Dana next, I believe.
I think you're going to have to forgive me. Was it Dana White or?
Yes, I think it is. DANAH. Okay. Yeah, go for it.
That is me, but unfortunately I had to take another call from the cancer clinic in Regina, so I will ask that someone else goes so that I know what we're doing.
Oh, okay. Well, and I don't mind, Dana. All we're doing is just introducing ourselves, the community you're calling in from. If you have one, your one word for 2020, your one word, and given that word, and again, not to put you on the spot, but given that word, what would be your #1 rule to live by for 2020?
Well, this is super awesome then, because I already did that.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. Awesome. Okay. So, Dana, have you introduced yourself to the group yet this morning?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so you are off the hook, and I think if there's anyone on the call that hasn't had a chance to introduce themselves, can you just pipe up and let me know?
Me, Carrie in the Yukon.
Oh, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Carrie Johnston, and I live on the traditional territory of the Champagne-Anahuac First Nations in Dakwakata Haines Junction. And my one word is agency, and my rule is to be reflective.
Nice.
I too haven't gone, Charlene.
Please go ahead, and I apologize. It's a little hard to see everyone on the call, the view. So please
That's
go
okay.
ahead. Thank you.
I'm Gina Softly. I'm from White Rock, and my word, it's 2 words actually. It's transformational growth, and my rule is to try and maintain a sense of balance throughout 2020. With courage to keep myself aligned, because I have a tendency when I go in, I go all in, and sometimes forget to maintain that sense of balance.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Kathy, my other Kathy, we didn't hear yet from you this morning. How did I miss a whole swipe? Okay.
Oh, did you miss a whole swipe? I don't know. My word, I'm Kathy Glosser. I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan, with the whole freezing contingent that we have this morning. My one word is richness, and that's for everything, like not just money richness, right? And my rule to live by, again, it goes through personal and my work life, is making the connections, right? So making sure that I'm staying focused on my family and still making the connections with different work type of stuff as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. I am just curious if there is anyone else that has not yet gone. No. Okay. It's so funny. My screen just, yeah, it's all good. My screen just switched, so I only see one person at a time now. Okay. I'm going to ask you to do a bit of a timed writing exercise this morning. If you take a look at the front of your journal that you got, if you had a chance to print it off, in November we did a MasterClass, and we kind of really circulated around the first step or phase of what I call the leader path, and we just talked a lot about possibilities and the potential of the oncoming year. So today we're focusing a little more on still on those possibilities and the clarity of it, what it is we're looking for, but how we're actually activating our strength and including our physical strength to take that next step forward. So in a timed writing exercise, and please, when you write, don't edit, write as fast as you can for it to really flow from your heart, not your head. Take a look at some of the answers that you heard from the other women, and if anything really resonated for you and you think it was actually spoken for you as well, you might want to incorporate that into your writing. So we're going to go for about 2 minutes, and what the question is simply this: given how you introduced yourself, the experience you're looking for, your number one rule to live by. What's next? What's next? So I will ask you to just write for about 2 minutes. And I'm just going to stop my video for a second and plug my phone in while you're doing that. So I'm just going to give you 1 more minute. Just try to wrap up. If you can, in this last minute, get a little more specific. What's next? If you can get just a little more specific. And in the meantime, I'm just giving my laptop 1 more try.
Okay, can you hear me okay? Excellent. Thank you so much for being patient this morning. Not exactly how I would have chosen to start today. Okay. So I'm just going to give you again by role modeling just a couple of examples. We really want to hear from as many of you as feel comfortable sharing. So I'm going to give you a couple of specifics in terms of what's next for me. A quick review. Fulfilling fruition is my experience. Conscious relaxation is how I know I'm going to get there. So what's next? And I'm going to try to say that in just a sentence or two to role model. What's next? Much like Dana, booking it in, scheduling it in. Much like some of the great input I heard was intentional, setting those intentional boundaries. And I just want to speak to closing the loop for a second. I don't think you can get deep relaxation if you have too much energy that's being diffused all the time, because every single circuit in your life, none of them are quite closed. So starting to think a little more consciously about how I'm closing some of those loops. Now, if anyone doesn't feel comfortable and you want to do more work on this exercise, you don't really feel comfortable sharing, but I hope you'll go for it. Just again, if in about a minute you could share, remind us of the experience that you're looking for, how you're going to get there, that one step. And then if you want to elaborate on it just a tiny bit more with a sentence or two in terms of what's next, what does that look like? This time around, I'm going to start on my far right with Kathy from Regina. Yeah, and just go ahead and unmute yourself, Kathy. Let me know if that wasn't clear on the instructions.
No, that sounded good to me. Mine is also making sure it's scheduled, right? Personally, I have a very large family. I don't have any children, but nieces and nephews, I got like 40 of them. So every day I want to make contact with one of them, right? Every night sort of thing. When it comes to making new connections in my local community, whether that be through Regina Women's Network or the Saskatchewan Entrepreneurs kind of thing, I would like to set up a lunch at least once a week to meet someone new or learn more about someone else. And I also want to go farther into LinkedIn to meet other owners of businesses in Saskatchewan to try to make the work connection there.
Great. Remind me of your experience.
My experience was making the connections.
Okay.
Needing to make the connections. So yeah.
Awesome. Carrie, I'm going to ask you what your thoughts are. What's next for you?
So my one word was agency and my rule is reflection. And for me, it was about building the habit and building the space to do that in every day. So carving out the time. And for me, I think it was also when it comes to reflection is the reminder of to be reflective, but to watch for where I'm confirming my own bias. So to be just conscious of that I'm not telling myself a story.
Carrie, can you say more about agency? Like what that means for you?
Yeah, what it means for me. It means I'm a political leader, and so oftentimes I'm walking into spaces where there's opportunity for radical change, but I'm oftentimes the youngest and the only woman walking into the room. And so it's about being conscious of the moment that I'm in and the opportunity to take that moment, and you can't see it coming. And you don't necessarily understand the space that you're walking into until you're there. So it's about being able to see that moment unfold.
Yeah. That was absolute gold for all of us. Yeah. There's a question I ask women a lot, probably too much, and that is, what are you ready for? Because it is in those moments that we are unexpecting. We are and we're not, because we've been preparing for them. But it is in those moments that we're unexpecting where we have the opportunity to stand up, speak up, whatever that looks like. But to me, that's to lead, right? But it usually takes us by surprise. So what are you ready for? We keep thinking it's something that's going to be announced and it's this big thing. It usually hits you on the, like, upside the head, and you're in it full on. So you either stand up and lead through it, or you don't. Yeah, no, that was gold. Gina, what does what's next looks like for you? And just remind us of your one word, your experience.
Okay. You talking to me, right, Gina?
Oh, I'm
Because
so
it's
sorry.
Sophie.
Yeah, no, yeah, I will go down to you, Gina, and then we'll bump back up to Gina softly. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. Okay. So it was purposeful creation. All right. And the way I decided what's next is actually by hearing everybody's words. I felt like it's almost like I'm not alone, because, for example, I felt that, I need to build courage as well, so I took some of the words from different people to sort of like make myself, help me like go next, basically. So I put build courage to allow the creation to take place, put in place intentional boundaries and mindfulness to let purpose out of the box, stretch my confidence to be able to act on my idea.
The gold there, Gina. Thank you so much. I hope you guys will write this down. I'd love to, here's the homework, and you can just tell me to go jump off, but anyway, here's the homework for this weekend. Get yourself a cup of coffee. I have had no coffee this morning. Can you believe it? Zero. I've had no coffee. Anyway, get yourself a cup of coffee this weekend. Answer this question journaling. Please, please do. I would love to hear it if you would be willing to share. How might my life be different, be better, if I was to let purpose fully out of the box? How might my life be different, be better, if I was to let purpose fully out of the box? That's a journaling cue if I ever heard one. Thank you very much, Gina from France. Awesome. Gina, softly, what's next for you?
All right. Well, it's interesting because I did I must have got different directions and did the writing last night from the journal. So I did the 8-minute one. So
perfect.
This one kind of stretched me to get a little more succinct, and especially after hearing all of the ladies' shares. So I'll try and be as brief as I can. So my words were transformational growth, and it really is in relation to leadership. And so for me, it was being very similar to you, Charlene, is really setting some like scheduling. So being very clear on what I want to be tasking myself with in terms of weekly and monthly kind of goals, but also getting really clear and getting clarity on what that transformational growth really looks like and should look like. And then having the courage to push myself out of my own comfort levels and to have the courage to push away the self-doubt when it creeps in. And again, being very purposeful in my planning and scheduling to maintain and scheduling two things. One, that I am scheduling in the personal side and my personal wellness, because staying fit and being active and being involved with my family is very, very important to me. And the other one is being very purposeful in my approach to this transformational growth this year.
Thank you. Yeah, no, you did the homework perfectly. Yeah, the 8 minutes was to prepare you for the 2 minutes. So it was, yeah, great. I'm just going to go down to my next line here. Shelley, I don't see you, but if you're on the call, what's next for you? Shelley, Aaron, and then Kathy Hicks.
So I did mine a little different, but that's not surprising considering I beat to my own drum normally. And but so here it is. My word was courage, and my 2 words were courageous confidence. So what's next is confidence, courage, change, inclusiveness, passion, resilience, and innovation. It includes new thinking, support, and acknowledgement from self and others. It abandons doubt, fear, and approval from others. There is no shame and driving need to please. I lead the way and collect wisdom from those who are generous, kind, clear, and inclusive. I forgive others and myself, and I forge pathways of sustainability and transformation through innovative thinking, feeling, and being. I use my strengths of determination, collaboration, and courage to feel confident and build up others and myself. I feel joy and gratitude versus competition and smallness.
That sounds like something that you would have on your mirror and read every day almost, doesn't it? Sounds like a tribute to the new you.
Well, I hope so. And it was part of the 8-minute homework, and then doing, just free thinking and uniting some of the words from fellow learner colleagues on this call. So Thank you for that invitation, and thank you for inviting me to share.
Awesome. No, that was great. So good. Aaron, what's next for you?
Hi there. So my word was clarity, and I thought I would like to prioritize my time, so be more intentional with my time. So in order to bring my goals and mindset into clarity, I commit to set time specifically to focus on meeting my goals, setting next steps, and action planning. So I need to take the time to identify what I have to do in order to move forward mindfully. And some of the words from you ladies that really stuck with me were scheduling it in and stick with it, taking action, and being bold.
Awesome. We are going to get into some real tangibles around scheduling and top 3 priorities later in the call. So thanks for your patience. Kathy Hicks, what's next?
Well, mine is so similar to others I've just heard. What's next for me is to look after me and get healthy, make time for myself so that I can fully participate in my life. So that means like setting boundaries and being more intentional with my time so that I can clear the way for this daring adventure that I want to have. I want to live more fully and with more vitality, and so to do that, I need to commit to looking after myself better.
Nice. Awesome. I encourage each of you that I've heard so far, like all of your answers are amazing. I'd like to hear even more specificity. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, awesome. Okay, then what does that look like even more specifically in terms of, this first quarter of this year? We'll get into that a little bit, but even more specifics. What does that specifically look and feel like this quarter of this year? What actions am I taking? yeah, I don't need to go on anymore. But if you had to filter it down even more and get more specific, what might that look like? I'd love to see you do that as well. Caroline, what's next for you?
Okay, so what's next? In whatever new career I am changing to, I'll definitely want, in my words, for stretch, but balance. So the stretch will be learning, reading, researching everything I can to be with the goal of being an expert in that new field. It's a related field possibly. But to stay balanced, I don't want to duplicate what the other members of the team might have in terms of their expertise. I should rely on them, leverage their resources, but stick with just learning enough that I can pursue the end goal. So, and what does that look like specifically? I would say, again, reading, webinars, learning, but only to a point, and then it's go time. So.
Yeah. Awesome. And I encourage you to make a really clear line so you know when it's go time, because I think women can feel like they need to keep learning and learning and learning and learning, and it's like, wow, you have absolutely everything you need to execute, so no, I loved what you said. And the only thing I would add is, as part of that process, is maybe information interviews, to others. I learn best when I find people that are doing something kind of similar, or there's something about them that attracts me, and then I talk to them about, what they're up to and that kind of thing. So that's great. Oh.
Whatever career it ends up being, I need to just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being on the call, Kelly. If you do need to pop off, I understand sometimes 90 minutes in a morning is hard. We are recording it, so you will be able to catch up. Okay, we've done both Gina's. Dana Keeple.
Okay.
What's next?
Okay, so for me, it was playfulness, have fun. And what I wrote down, there were a couple things. One is closing the loop. That's really a good one if I understand it. It just means say no, intentional boundaries. What I wrote down was I need clean time. And what I mean by that is when I play, and when I work, I work. And for me, I'm working and I'm thinking I should be playing, and I'm playing, especially when I'm playing, I'm thinking about work. It shows up in my Scrabble games here. Playing and I lose because I'm thinking about work.
That's funny.
So what I need to do is I do need to be specific. Book a theater, go to comedy, play, but keep really clean boundaries. This is my playtime. This is my work time. And present is the word that comes to mind. I really need to be present in the moment with what I'm doing rather than getting it all murky.
Thank you. Yeah, clean time. Making those switches. It's like, it's like Wonder Woman, put it on, take it off. Okay. Tisha, what's next? What's next on that runway?
Okay, so I find that our family's lifestyle is not entirely traditional, and we're always on the move. And I'm often feeling that there's constant chaos. So the liftoff that I'm looking for, I feel as though if I set the boundaries to harness that energy of the chaos, it's not a bad thing, but I want to get moving in the right direction, so that I can write this next chapter for me. I do have all the opportunities in front of me to make it happen, and I'm leading into that last half of my life. And so I want to lose that dark cloud of chaos, so that I can build up that speed for me. So I feel lighter, happier, wholer, stronger. being intentional with my time, meal planning, being accountable to myself and sticking with my workout routine. That was, I think, that was mentioned by someone else, is accountable to myself, which is tougher to do than what we think. But I don't necessarily see myself as a quitter, but I do get distracted easily. And that's most often by trying to do good things, but helping others. And then those priorities, come front and center, and I always push my own to the back. So with those boundaries, keeping the focus for the lift off for the last half of my life. And I've been reflecting a lot about the legacy that I'm creating for her. And when I think of her, I think of my daughter, my niece, my cousins, my sister, and then also honoring the her who shaped me, which is my mom. So I have this gift in my life, and how am I going to lift off? And I think of it like a power play. So hockey is a big part of my life, and power plays happen when one or two players go to the penalty box. So I think those habits that aren't serving me in the best way possible, I need to put those in the penalty box so that I have that powerful man advantage. And having that extra player on the ice in this case is the women that are surrounding me, even on this call. So being intentional, setting those habits into the penalty box that maybe aren't serving me well right now, and then using that energy that come from other women and sharing that can help me, get really that speed to lift off for the next 50 years of my life. Not that I want to live to 100, but yeah, just being excited about the next chapter.
Awesome. I love the power play analogy. And as many of you know, I love my sports analogies, because it is an area where we've definitely seen a lot of potential fulfilled on. I think the power play analogy ties back into closing the loop. Just finish the play. Where we can, as women, lose a lot of energy is we get a lot of things started, right? Whether it's a project half finished in the house, or it's a work project, and it's not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but if you do think about them each as little energy circuits, how many of them do you currently have open? And sometimes to harness your energy and refocus it for liftoff, you just got to go through some of what's open and close the loop, close the loop, close the loop. Okay, Heather, sorry, I'm jumping in. Can someone read this? As a reminder, my word is mindfulness. The rule is close the loop, so this is perfect. What's next? Haven't figured this out yet. I currently have many moving parts in my business life. So probably the biggest things I need to do is to consciously prioritize, set boundaries, downsize my big picture into SMART goals. And I love the concept of clean time. And living to 100 is a great goal. I love this. Yeah, apologies, Heather. I realized I forgot you. I had a hard time on the speaker here. Excellent. This is a great segue into the next, some of the tactics coming up next. So I'm just gonna ask you to sit tight for just a few more minutes, and we're gonna finish this section up. Jessie, what is next for you?
Okay, so my two words were confident focus. And my rule was to be intentional with how I spend my time both at home and at work. So what's next was putting my plans into action. So thinking about how I become more confident. You don't just say, I'm going to be more confident. So using tools to figure out why I'm not and how I can improve or work on my confidence. And then practicing being more intentional with my time, because I know this helps me feel more in control. Reflecting on how I've spent my time in the past. So how did I spend my time during the day, week, month, compared to how I had planned to spend it? And then try to pick up on those times where I've fallen back into bad habits and identifying what's triggering that so that I can shift my focus back to how I want to spend my time. Yeah. So that's
Good one. Good one. Thank you. And I do believe that Shauna S. Hauser had to leave. I'm just trying to remember her first name. Shelley, yeah. So I'm gonna zip over to Liza. Liza, then we read Heather's, Trina after Liza.
All right, so I turned my video off because my connection wasn't great, but can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sure can.
Terrific. So just as a reminder, my words and rules are all kind of integrated, and one of the words is integrated, and the focus is health and wealth. And it's interesting, it's really coming up clearly for me. 2019 was a tough year for me, and I'm really glad it's over. And part of what I'm doing now, I'm kind of finishing the purge of 2019. So I've actually had colds and flus like three bouts in a row. So I'm really consciously looking after my health and resting and getting reset. Changing my diet. I've realized that I've got probably too much acid in my body, which is a really interesting thing to learn. So I'm completely changing my diet so that I can energize my body better. And a lot of the studying that I've been doing with my business and with my passion for helping women get on their best path is about how much health and wealth are integrated. And so I'm continuing to study and develop programs for how we have to put our health and wealth as such a priority and invest in our wealth so that we can in turn invest in our health. If you are wealthy, by statistics, you are healthier than people who are not wealthy. So we have to help people get wealthier and get healthier, and those two things can easily be lined up when you intentionally build those together with integrity. So I have a 90-day business plan and a 90-day health plan, yeah, that's kind of the highlights of it. Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds great. I love that you've got those two 90-day plans. That's exactly where we're going. So we've read Heather's out. Trina, I'm going to ask you to go next. What's next for you?
Sure. So just a reminder, my word was strength, and my rule was accountable to myself and sticking with it. And so for me, it's about habits and identifying which habits that I need to implement to ensure that I'm able to prioritize building strength. And for me, strength is both mental and physical strength. And then a big one is putting things, not just creating the plan, but taking action and keeping to that action. Along with identifying new habits, I also have to find the ones that are getting in my way and stopping me with sticking with it, because I think it's easy to fall on those bad habits to do that. And then finding a way to track my success and celebrate those successes as well, so that I can see progress, but also see that I'm staying accountable to myself and sticking with the plan that I lay out for myself.
Nice.
I have to say I did really recognize and kind of, it resonated with me, the comments about intentional boundaries. And I thought that was fantastic. I also loved the comment about courage to push away self-doubt.
I like that a lot too.
Yeah, that one was great. So.
That goes hand in hand with strength, doesn't it? I almost get a picture in my head about what that looks like.
Yeah.
And I believe we've got one more, Dana, unless that's Dana from France on the phone. Is there anybody that hasn't gone? Maybe I'll say it that way.
Yeah, this is Dana White. I haven't gone yet.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Dana.
Yeah. No problem at all. My connection dropped off. I had to call back in, so no worries at all.
Thank you.
So my word was growth. So part of my plan to move forward in that mindset is to get started on my master's. But my rule for the year was to get more rest and to get more sleep. So I know that I need to continue on my workouts so that I'm tired at the end of the day. I have to register for my MBA. I have to set like a sleep alarm maybe. I have to get my sleep hygiene better. I have to get my phone out of the bedroom. And I know that on a logical part of my brain, but the other part doesn't seem to catch up all the time. So a couple of things, the accountability that a couple of people have mentioned is huge for me, because I do need to be accountable to myself. And as Jessie mentioned with the intentional with her time, that really rang true for me, because to do all of the things that I want to do to develop that growth this year, I am going to have to be very intentional with my time. I just hadn't thought of it that way, so that was really good.
Good. I'm glad that came up for you. Is there
Mhm.
anyone else before I move forward? Okay. Excellent. All right. So we're gonna switch gears. I hope and I trust that one or two things came up for you in that part of the conversation that were meant for you, as well as the woman that voiced it. There's three pieces that I'd like to touch on in terms of some tactics. The first piece is really about finding your rhythm and flow for the year. The second piece that we're going to talk about is how routines and rituals fit into that. And the third piece is around adherence, positive adherence to those new healthy habits. Those are the three pieces I'd like to focus on at this point. When we did a masterclass the end of November, and I asked women, how many women on the call utilize their Google Calendar to proactively book their time to ensure their top 3 priorities were in their calendar, I was actually astonished. I was actually shocked by the response. And a couple of you were on the call, but very few people used their Google Calendar in that way. And I honestly thought a lot of people did. So most people, I learned, used their Google Calendar to schedule the incoming appointments and requests for their time and energy, but didn't intentionally, deliberately, and proactively carve out and block the time for the top 3 things that they said was most important to them. So it did not compute for me at all. So I just offer that out to you as a starting point in terms of finding your rhythm for this year and backing it up, even for this quarter. If the top 3 things that are going to lead you forward in your what's next, if you can boil it down over the weekend, what do those top 3 things look like? So for me, if you looked at my calendar for next week, you would see my workouts are already scheduled in. They might shift and move, but they're in. My fun time, my clear time, my creative time, my horsey back riding time, it's already in there. As is my food prep or my self-care, if it's a massage or whatnot. So I just offer that out to try, even, for 30 days, boil down to what you feel your top 3 priorities and new healthy habits should be, and actually book them in color coded and see how that looks and feels for you. I believe that it is a framework that provides us freedom. And I know that sounds that sounds paradoxical, but if you have a framework set up, you don't have to think about it. It's set up for you. it's like the people that wear uniforms to school every day. Think about how much just brain space it releases because you're not constantly thinking about what you have to wear the next day. So it's the same in terms of creating this framework for the experience you're looking to create in 2020. So other ideas around the framework that I'll just offer out to you. The first one is obviously the Google Calendar and your scheduling in, your time blocking, your priorities. The next one is around routines and rituals, your personal rhythm and flow with your routines and your rituals. I encourage you to observe over the next week where your energy is its high, where and when your energy is its highest, and where and when your energy is its lowest. Observe that flow in a day, in a week, in a month. And just start to be aware of it. So what I have started to do after observing my energy for quite some time is I've actually started to correlate my work, my daily schedule as much as possible. And obviously sometimes, you know, life gets in the way and you do what you're required to do. But when I can intentionally choose where I'm putting my time and my energy, I follow my energy flow. So I'll give you an example of that. If you were working on really big, meaty projects for your business, or you were working on a creative project, you're writing a book or something that you just need to go deep for a while, when in your day do you have the energy? Oh, Shelley, I cannot hear. Darn. When in your day do you have the energy and you're in the right space to go deep? So for me, before I start to react to a ton of things, I tend to go deep first thing in the morning. After some morning priming, like one of my healthy habits is to spend some time in the morning just for me. So I encourage you to just watch your energy and see if you can start to book what's required of you to match that energy. Another thing I do as much as possible is if I have a number of phone calls or meetings, whether it's with clients or people that I'm in conversation with, I will try to exercise just before those sessions. Whether, even if it's just a walk, even if it's a 20-minute walk around the block or a jog, I know for me, my energy and who I want to be is the very best shortly after exercise, because all the endorphins are up, all the serotonin's kicked in. So if you think that it's what you say that's attracting the person you're talking to or the opportunity you're looking for in that conversation, you need to think again. It's not what you're saying. It's your energy that you're putting across. It's not content. It's connection. The other piece that I offer out to you is around accountability. And that goes hand in hand with adherence. So I think the number one thing, you know, whether it's been with, you know, working with leaders in Powerhouse, working as a competitive coach and a trainer years prior, yeah, the number one thing is helping people build up their persistence chops, their dedication to themselves, their adherence, their ability to just stick with it. Pick something and just stick with it. Play it through, play it all the way through, because you know you want it, right? So I still do I still have many games I play with myself to help with my own adherence. One of them that's working really well for me right now, and I offer it out to you to do with someone that's in your circle, to do with someone that's on this call, just someone that makes sense for you. And you can do it for 90 days. You don't have to marry the person. But there's a very, very good friend of mine. She couldn't be on the call today, someone I work quite closely with. And every single morning, we leave each other a message. You can do it in, using a cell message. We actually use an app called Voxer. It's a free app. And in the morning, we leave each other a message, so we don't have to actually talk to each other. We can just type it, or we can just leave the message. It's like a walkie-talkie. You don't have to like bug a person. But it just basically says, good morning. And it says, here's my top 3 priorities for today. And those priorities, typically for us, are our commitment to movement, our commitment to eating well, our commitment to keeping a positive attitude or a healthy mindset. Now, if there's a really big meeting or something that's like super important, but we don't list out all the little busyness, daily to-dos that are on our list that suck up all of our time, we focus on, here's the top 3 things I know I need to accomplish today to be the leader I want to be today. All the little shitty to-do things, they'll get done. I'm pretty capable. I've kind of done this for a while. So, and then at the end of the day, we leave each other another message. We're accountable. Yep, got them done. I only got 2 out of 3 done today. Something came up. This is what came up. So I'll kick that other one tomorrow. Give it a kick. I offer that out to you because as someone that kind of prides themselves in being a bit tenacious, I still use that tool. I still have somebody that I check in with every single day, twice a day. And the neat thing is, it's certainly built greater richness in our relationship. And it's made it more fun. It's made, it's made it more fun, the process and this journey. Now, I'm just going to take a few minutes. I want to be mindful of time, and I do want to introduce the health planner. We're not going to totally go over it today, but I want to introduce it. Does anybody have like a burning question or comment on anything that I've just said that you'd really, really like to get out? Caroline, yes.
That's a quick question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just on base what you said, that exchange with your person you hold accountable. Does the other person ever comment back? Like, oh, come on, Charlene, you said you were doing this. Like, you haven't done your 3 things for the last week. Like, what's up? Or is it, okay, you do. Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, we call each other bullshit a lot. Yeah. But in a loving way. Yeah.
Yeah, you need that to drive you. So, okay,
totally. Good. Yeah. And I'm competitive, but in a good way. Like I'm competitive with myself and I'm a little competitive. So, it plays well. Yeah. Awesome. Any other thoughts or comments or I'm going to introduce this health planner. Excellent. Okay. This is just a super simple tool. If you didn't receive it, please let me know. It should be in that email that hopefully you got. I believe it was yesterday. Now, here's the thing. You're welcome to fill it out. If you have questions, you can let me know. You can contact me. We will actually be walking through this health planner next week. We do a power circle a couple of times a year. So if you're not signed up for it, we are starting a 7-day power circle next week. It's absolutely free. Every time we do it, it's kind of like today except shorter, but it's for 7 days. And the theme for next week is connectivity. And you will find the Power Circle invitation to sign up to make sure that you understand what it is. It's just under programs in our website. It starts on Sunday. just little short. The neat thing is, it's 7 different women sharing with me every day on a theme for 30 minutes. It's not just me talking. And then I do a short video and you get a journal to work through. But the neat thing about this time around is we actually take a couple of the days and work through this health planner. So if you want to make sure and ground into this one, you probably want to check out the Power Circle. So if you have it open just for a moment, I'll just quickly go through it. First of all, we're starting to break things down into the quarters, which I love Liza saying, her 90-day goals. How do you want to feel by the end of this quarter? It's on the left-hand side. Habits that are working for you that you have been doing from the last quarter. This is part of closing the gap. I think sometimes women don't recognize what they're already doing that is working. So just don't be quick to jump into something else and actually go, you know what? Actually, I'm really happy with how I do this or that. This is working for me right now. That's why I shared with you a couple of things that I do that they're working for me. And if you wanted to, you'll have a chance next week to talk about some of the habits that are working for you, because I think women don't learn enough from each other. We keep looking out there for the answers when I think the answers are actually all right here. We just need to connect and share them. So then the tool is quite simple, but you're committing to your number 1 priority. And then you're also committing, how are you going to know when you achieve it? So you want some very, very specific measurables. And then what are your top 3 priorities? And then I'll be bugging you to see, okay, if that's your top 3 priorities, how are they showing up in your calendar? Where are you blocking them in? Who are you being accountable to? What are you building into your system to ensure adherence to it? And this isn't just physical. This is mental, spiritual. It may be, you might be in great shape physically and still feel like crap for some reason. So it's really about looking at that fully integrated approach to your health, to feeling stronger. When we send out this recording, I will attach an article that I wrote for our last magazine. And it's just my personal belief about how important weight training is to feeling stronger in your life with your leadership goals and being able to push away self-doubt and that kind of thing. There is absolutely a correlation between how strong and confident a woman feels in her body and powerful, and how strong and confident she comes across in life. So with a lot of the leaders I work with, they're pretty dedicated to their health. They're doing yoga, they're doing Pilates, they run, but I still ask them if they're weight training. And I still really, really advocate for weight training, which also builds your lean muscle and builds up your bone density, which after 30 you start to lose. So there's my little, I wouldn't be able to do a health workshop, like a conversation, without giving you my 2 bits about weight training. So we just have a few more minutes. I'm wondering if anyone has any final words. I just wanted to again invite you. This is just a beginning, a kickoff, a conversation. If you'd like to be with us for the Power Circle, the commitment looks like this. It's 30 minutes every morning at 8 a.m. For a conversation, starting on Sunday, this Sunday, and going until next Saturday. If you aren't available live, the conversation is recorded. And there is a Facebook group called the 7x7, like 7x7, 7x7 Power Circle Challenge. You can ask me for it if you can't find it. The recordings are all in there every day, and that's also where I ask people to post their homework, comment on their homework, share from the experience, because how these offerings keep getting better is by what we're hearing from the folks on the calls. And so one thing I heard today, which makes me pretty happy, is I think we all understand that we need to be much more intentional and deliberate about how we're thinking and planning and executing. And I think that's really what it all boils down to, right? Cool. Any final thoughts, anybody?
This is Jessie. I'll just share one thing that I thought other people might find interesting, especially when we're talking about being intentional with our time. One thing I was working through was that I block time in my calendar at work for specific things that I want to get done, or for personal development, things like this. But what I do then is, if somebody else tries to schedule a meeting with me, I give that time up. And so somebody said to me, why do you do that? Does that mean that you think what they want from you is more important than what you're working on for yourself? And that was just sort of a moment of clarity to me, because I think maybe as women, we're always trying to help other people. And so we prioritize other people's requests over our own needs. And so that was just kind of a moment for me. So I thought I'd share that.
Mm-hmm. No, I think a lot of people do it. And my 2 cents with that is, obviously that happens to me as well a lot. I will only schedule that meeting if I can immediately see where I can reschedule my own needs. And that just is, we've heard it, we know it, the old oxygen mask, you got to feed yourself first kind of thing. So it's, I do the same. If somebody is requesting my time and energy, before I'll say yes, I'll look and see where I can reschedule what I need to reschedule. But it takes some strength to build up that that muscle, because we're scared if we say no. I don't know what we're scared of. It might never happen again. I don't know. But thank you so much for being part of today's call. This is what a masterclass is like. Any feedback or input for us, we'd really appreciate it. And I hope to see you next week on the Power Circle. And you can find out about that on our website. So please join us if it works for you. Thanks so much for being here today, you guys. Take care. Thank you.